Hello beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new, welcome, and if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. Everything that I use will be listed down below. This was also another live TikTok makeup tutorial. The next video right after this, you will see me in the same outfit because this was a live TikTok, and once I finished this look, I removed the makeup and started another look. But let's hop straight into the video. So all I'm doing is outlining my brows. I started off outlining the bottom portion of my brows and then moved on to the front, filling those brows in, as well as adding some little hairs towards the front. I have little hairs towards the front, but it's not as noticeable on this side of my face than it is on the other side, so I have to add a little more. And I'm just following the direction that my brows go, and I'm just basically tracing them out. Now I do have a natural pointy arch, and I just trim that down, and I make the top portion of my brows more rounded by using my concealer. And if you mess up at any point when doing your brows, with whether you're using a brow pencil or pomade, concealer will be your best friend to clean all of that up. Your brows are supposed to be sisters, not twins, but I like my brows closer enough that they look like twins. And now to clean up my brows, I like to use the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in the shade Deep. I like to use this color because it's not too bright. It's a perfect shade. It still gives me that highlighted look without giving me that extra halo look. And I just like to add a little bit of product using my applicator most of the time, using my brush to guide that product up towards my brows to blend everything out. And I like to add only a little bit at a time because I feel like if I add too much product, it leaves like a lot of product directly underneath my brows. And when I go to blend it out, sometimes it'd be a little harder to blend out. I like to use a concealer that is, this concealer, in particular, because it does not dry down too fast, but fast enough that you can do whatever it is that you need to do and still have room to work with. Now I'm using some NARS Soft Matte Concealer, and I like to use one that's closer to my skin tone. Do it the same way and just add it to the front and blend it backwards, as well as blend it down towards my eyelids. I don't go all the way down to my eyelids because I like to go in with a eyeshadow base for that step. You can use one concealer for the whole entire look. It's 100% up to you. I just, as of lately, like using these two concealers and then going in with the eyeshadow base. And I'm just taking this brush to blend everything together. And as you can see, if you wanted to do this and not add on any type of eyeshadow whatsoever, you can totally do this step. Just make sure you bring it down all the way and set it with some translucent powder, and you can be heading out the door. I like to use that same concealer that I use for the front of my brows, which is the NARS Soft Matte in the shade Hazelnut. And I like to use this because it's closer to my skin tone color, or you can use your foundation shade if you like. But I like to use a color that's the same as my skin tone because when I go to add on my foundation, that you can't see that color peeking through underneath. And as you can see, once I blend it out, it blends in with my skin tone perfect. I don't have that orangish look underneath or that too, like I said, halo look. And I like to round my brows out because, again, my natural arch is a little more pointy and I just like them a little more rounded. Now I'm adding on that eyeshadow base. This eyeshadow base is from NYX, and a little of this go a long way, and I just keep it in that area and then blend everything out before going in with translucent powder to set it. I like to set my concealers as well as the eyeshadow base, so when I'm working on one eye, the eye don't start creasing up on me. And everything can be nice and smooth. You can use a sponge or a brush to add on your translucent powder. I just like to use a sponge to make sure that it's really pressed in, and then go in with a clean eyeshadow brush to dust everything away. I'm going in with the Huda Beauty Topaz Obsession palette, and right now I'm using the brown shade as my transition color because I wanted this look to be more of a natural look, and I'm just adding a little bit on and kind of like rounding those edges out. I don't want this brown to really show through as much, but show through enough, if that makes sense. And I'm adding a little bit at a time, and as you can see, a little bit goes a long way, and just blending that out completely before moving on to the other eye, or before even adding on a little more brown. Now I'm going in with the Sephora Vivid Earth palette. This one is the Wild Nature. The shade I'm using is called Seeds, and it's just a green shade. And I'm placing that right in the outer corner of my lid, directly under that translucent color. And then after I stamp it into place of directly where I want it to be, I'm then going to go in and blend it out and fade that into that transition color so everything can flow together. And I love this green. It actually matches my hoodie perfect, and I'm just blending that together, making sure that I really keep that green focused in that area. I don't want it too much into the inner parts of my lid. I want it mostly on the outer corner, and I'm just making sure that that is nicely blended. And then I'm gonna go back and forth between that brown shade to make sure that I'm blending both of those shades together so everything can flow. And now it's time to cut the crease. And again, I like to just place a little bit of concealer right in the center close to my lash line, and then look up. And when you look up, it should create a line. Sometimes you may need to add a little bit more, but it should create a line, and you just use that as your guide to cut your crease. I don't have to do this all the time, but as lately I've been liking doing this step because it makes it a little easier. For other people that's watching my video who struggle with cutting their crease, and you just add a little bit at a time. And I'm using a different concealer today. I'm using the Too Faced Born This Way concealer in the shade Caramel. I don't recommend using this concealer if you're a beginner, because it do dry down kind of fast. I recommend you use the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in any shade that you prefer. I like to use the darkest shade, which is Deep, because it's still light enough that I can achieve whatever look I'm going for. And again, that concealer does not dry down that fast like this one that I'm using in this video do. But I only went ahead and used this in this video because I'm almost out of that concealer and I needed it to highlight the rest of my face. And now I'm just taking some translucent powder to set the concealer so that I don't get any creasing. You also can use a nude or a tan eyeshadow. I just like to use a transition powder for this look. And then I'm going back into that Vivid Earth palette. Again, that is the Wild Nature palette in the shade Seeds. And I'm just adding some more of that green just to fade that out so that everything blend together and I don't have any harsh lines. You also can go back in with another color, which I'm going to do is add a little bit of orange from that Huda Beauty Topaz Obsession palette. And when I say a little, I mean just the littlest amount that you barely could tell that it's any on there. And even though this is a natural look, you can also take it a step further and add some gold glitter. And I'm just going to repeat the same steps. And now we have that completed. This was a live video on TikTok, so my lashes was done on camera. I just cut that part out so that the video didn't be too long. But now I'm going in with some primer. This is the Fenty Beauty Soft Silk, and I'm just patting that into my face, making sure that it is completely dry before moving on to foundation. The foundation that I'm using is the Sephora Best Skin Ever foundation. I said this in a couple of videos. I absolutely love this foundation. This is one of my all-time favorites. I will forever continue to purchase it as long as they have it on the shelf. It matches with my skin tone 100%. Like, you don't need a lot of this foundation. For me, it already gives a glow, but they do have a glow one that you can test out as well. And if you feel like you're the same skin tone as me, the foundation shade is 44Y. Again, everything that I use will be listed down below. Okay, and now that that's all blended, I'm going to add some concealer. I'm using the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in the shade Deep. And I'm adding this underneath my eyes, the bridge of my nose, my forehead, my chin area, as well as a little bit above my lip. And I'm going to blend out my chin, my forehead, a little above my lip, and then my nose. And I like to just let under my eyes sit a little bit longer because I want to make sure that that gets the most coverage. The longer you let concealer sit, I don't recommend letting it sit no longer than a minute, but the longer you let concealer sit, the more full coverage it will become. This concealer is already full coverage, so you don't have to let it sit for too long. Just keep that in mind. If you have more of a sheer coverage concealer, let it sit for a little longer, and you may have to go in and layer it up, but let it sit for a little longer. Use a brush to blend it out, because if you use a sponge, the sponge will soak up product, so keep that in mind. And if you like a more highlighted look more than what I do, go in with a lighter concealer. I don't recommend too much lighter, but use a concealer that is 1 to 2 shades lighter than your foundation shade. I like to use this color because it still gives me that highlighted look, but it's not too much that it does not look good on me. And I'm just taking this damp beauty blender to press that in even further, as well as to soak up a little of that product. And then I'm going to go back in with my brush just to add some translucent powder to make sure that I set that concealer into place. Now I'm going to take my triangle puff and I'm going to carve out the sides of my nose, as well as blend some more of that translucent powder out. And as you can see, that powder already gives me that highlighted look. And you don't want to add on too much, but just enough. And everywhere else that you added that concealer at, that's exactly where you want to add some of that powder at. Make sure that you set in any type of liquid foundation concealer with some type of powder. And now I'm just going in with a little bit of bronzer while I let that powder just sit there for a little minute. I don't like to bake, so I don't let it sit there for too long. Just in enough time for me to add this bronzer, and then I'm going to go ahead and blend everything out. And since I already pretty much set underneath my eyes, I can let it sit there for a little while longer. It doesn't really do too much, but for the most part, I don't let it sit for too long. I'm just using my foundation brush to blend out that bronzer, and I want to make sure that everything is nicely blended before dusting away any of that powder. And I want to make sure that I don't have any harsh lines from the bronzer, so I'm making sure that I blend everything together. And as you can see, like just from me blending a little bit, it already make a huge difference. You want to make sure you 100% blend everything out before moving on. And you can use a different brush. I just like to use the same brush to blend out the powder, and I'm just pressing it into place as well as dusting it away. And as you can see, everything looks nice and smooth. That's the look we're going for. And I finished my brows. That part got cut out as well. All I did was, once I added the concealer and the foundation, I took my spoolie and whatever product was in between my brows, I faded that into my brows, and that will give me an ombre look. And now I'm just adding some pressed powder into that area with a brush, and then going back in with this triangle puff and just really patting that into place before moving on to contour my nose. Now to highlight my face a little bit, I'm going in with this Fenty Beauty highlighter. This one is Hustler Baby, and I'm just adding it to my brow bone just a little bit, not too much, as well as down the bridge of my nose, the point of my nose. And I'm gonna blend that out with my finger because I didn't want that to be too highlighted. To set my face, I'm going in with my MAC Prep and Prime, and this one is Pinklite, as well as I added a little bit of my NYX Radiant Spray mixed with a little bit of MAC. And now I'm going in with my brown lip liner. This is the brow pencil from Wet n Wild, and I'm just outlining my lips just a little bit. And I like to add make my lips a little bit bold because I like to do like the ombre lip. Any lip that I do, it will always be an ombre lip. And then I'm going in with the NYX Lip Lingerie. This one is called Ruffle Trim. And I'm just adding that to the center of my lips, puckering my lips together to make sure that I blend everything out completely. And I'm going in with a little more lip liner just so I can make that a little more bold, because I didn't want the NYX Lip Lingerie to kind of take over the lip. And there you have it. Hope y'all enjoyed this video as much as I did making it. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on all of my